The bedside clock glows 2:17 a.m. Outside, the city hums its low, endless song. But in here, it's quiet. Too quiet. Except for the whisper. Her whisper. Emma's turned away from me, phone pressed tight to her ear, thinking I'm dead to the world. She does that sometimes, rolls over if she can't sleep, checks her messages, or makes calls. Like now. No, he's completely out, she murmurs, her voice a silken thread I wish I could unhear. Tomorrow night, then. The usual place? Perfect. Make sure you get the final paperwork from Chloe. It has to look natural. A pause. A soft, almost inaudible laugh that tightens something in my chest. Love you too. Sleep tight. The click of the call ending echoes in the stillness. She slides the phone back onto her nightstand, adjusts her pillow, and sighs. A soft, contented sound that grates against my raw nerves. She thinks she's so clever. She thinks I'm the same oblivious fool I was before. I don't move. I keep my breathing even, slow, mimicking sleep. But my eyes are open, staring at the faint patterns the moonlight throws on the ceiling. I glance at the clock again. 2:19 a.m. It's starting, again, right on schedule. This little scene, this hushed betrayal under the cloak of night, it's familiar. Painfully familiar. Because this isn't the first time. It's not even the second. How many times have I heard variations of this conversation? How many times have I woken up to this same cold dread coiling in my gut? The first time, it blindsided me. Utterly. It was my birthday, 3 years ago. Or perhaps, in a way, just yesterday. I walked into what I thought was my surprise party, held, ironically, at our favorite Italian place. Balloons, cake, forced smiles. And then Emma, flanked by my sister Chloe and him, Mark, slides a folder across the table. Just some boring insurance updates, honey, she'd said, her smile dazzlingly false. Sign here and here. Drunk on cheap champagne and misplaced trust, I almost did it. Almost signed away the beach house my grandfather left me. But then Mark, her smug co-worker who'd become a fixture in our lives, caught her eye. The look that passed between them. It wasn't just knowing. It was possessive, triumphant. In that instant, the champagne haze vanished. The cheap decorations, the strained laughter of friends who must have known, Chloe's averted gaze, it all crashed down. Betrayal, sharp and absolute. The pen hovered over the paper. My heart felt like it was tearing in two. And then, nothing. A blinding flash, a feeling of falling backward through myself. Then darkness, silence, and waking up with a gasp in my own bed, sunlight streaming through the window. It was the morning before the party. My phone confirmed the date. Everything was reset. Except me. I remembered everything. The party, the papers, the look, the gut-wrenching betrayal, and a strange, innate knowledge settled within me. This power, this curse, was mine now. When the betrayal cuts deep enough, when it shatters the foundation of my life, I get a do-over. I keep the memories. They don't. Now, lying here in the pre-dawn quiet, the memory is less a stab of pain and more a cold, hard fact, like knowing the sun will rise. The coffee machine downstairs clicks on, its timer set for 5 a.m., my one concession to routine in this looping nightmare. I need the ritual, the smell of brewing coffee grounding me as I slip out of bed, leaving Emma to her treacherous dreams. In the kitchen's soft glow, I pull out my phone. Not to check the news, not to scroll through social media. I scroll through the message threads I already know by heart. Emma's overly sweet texts from yesterday. Chloe's conspicuously casual check-ins. Mark's polite but invasive messages about that work project he needs my input on. It's all there, laid out like a script I've read too many times. But this time the performance will be different. My performance. Phase 1 began weeks ago, in this timeline. Securing things she doesn't know exist. Moving assets. Talking to people she thinks are out of the picture. While I brew the coffee, letting the rich aroma fill the kitchen, I go over the next steps in my head. Playing the part of the loving, unsuspecting husband requires precision. It requires patience. But seeing her face when the first crack appears in her perfect plan? That's worth the wait. The coffee finishes brewing. I pour a cup, the warmth seeping into my hands. Game on, again. Emma comes downstairs around 7, wrapped in that silk robe I bought her for our anniversary, the one she claimed she adored. She stretches, cat-like, a picture of domestic bliss. "Morning, sleepyhead," she says, voice warm and slightly husky. She pours herself coffee, adds that precise splash of cream. Predictable. She comes over, loops her arms around my neck from behind, rests her chin on my shoulder. "Big day tomorrow," she murmurs into my ear. "Excited for your birthday?" Her breath is warm, smelling faintly of mint toothpaste, and the lies she whispered into her phone just hours ago. I force a smile, turning slightly to kiss her cheek. "Can't wait to see what surprises you have planned," I say, keeping my tone light. It's the little things I notice now, things I was blind to before the resets. The way her eyes don't quite meet mine when she's being overly affectionate. The slight, almost imperceptible tightening around her mouth when she talks about the future. Our future. The way she angles her body slightly away, even when she's initiating closeness. It's a masterclass in deception, practiced and polished. She plays the devoted wife so well, layering affection over deceit like paint on rotten wood. Before, I saw only the surface. Now, I see the rot underneath, the calculation in every touch, every seemingly innocent question about my finances or my family. "Anything I can do to help with whatever you're planning?" I ask, testing the waters. She laughs, a light, airy sound. "Wouldn't be a surprise then, would it? Just relax. I've got everything under control." "Oh, I know you think you do, Emma. And then there's Mark Jensen. Her work husband," she used to joke. Tall, annoyingly handsome in that generic corporate way, with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. He started as just a name in her work stories. Then came the after-work drinks she swore were team building. Then the weekend emergency project sessions. Before the first reset, I'd actually bought into the whole thing. Emma was so convincing. "He's happily married, honey, and Sarah, his wife, is lovely. You'd like her. I never met Sarah." Funny that. He'd started showing up at our house, invited by Emma for dinner, bringing wine, oozing charm. He'd clap me on the shoulder, ask about my boring accounting job with feigned interest, all while subtly positioning himself closer to Emma. In the previous loops, I'd played the welcoming, trusting husband, oblivious. This time, I keep him at arm's length, polite but distant. He seems slightly confused by it, like a fly buzzing against a window pane it suddenly can't pass through. His intrusion feels less like a slow creep now, and more like a deliberate invasion I'm merely tolerating. For now, my sister Chloe. That's a betrayal that cuts differently, deeper, perhaps. We grew up together, partners in crime, secrets sworn between us. Or so I thought. During one of the earlier loops, after a particularly nasty confrontation where Emma had momentarily dropped her mask, Chloe had let something slip. A frantic, protective defense of Emma that revealed far too much. Piecing it together over subsequent resets, I realized she hadn't just known. She'd actively helped, covered for Emma, fed her information about me, about my family, about the damned beach house. She visits this morning, ostensibly to drop off a birthday gift early. She breezes in, all fake cheerfulness. "Big birthday tomorrow, getting old, bro," she says, punching my arm playfully. Emma smiles, playing along. "Don't remind him." Chloe sets a brightly wrapped gift on the counter. "Just wanted to make sure Em wasn't driving you crazy with all her secret plotting." She winks. Her eyes dart between me and Emma, probing, looking for cracks. I see the question in her gaze. Does he suspect anything? I just shrug, sipping my coffee. "Emma's full of surprises," I say evenly, looking forward to it. Chloe visibly relaxes, just a fraction, but I see it. She launches into some story about work, careful, casual, but I hear the slight tremor in her voice, the forced lightness. She knows she's walking a tightrope. She just doesn't know I'm the one holding the scissors. Later that day, while Emma's out on a spa appointment, her phone's location pinging near Mark's office, naturally, I do some tidying up in our home office. It doesn't take long. Tucked under a pile of innocuous household bills on her side of the desk, I find exactly what I expected, what I remembered from a previous, aborted timeline where I'd confronted her too early. A draft document. Not insurance papers. A quitclaim deed. Transferring full ownership of the Gull Cove beach house, my grandfather's legacy, solely to Emma Davies. Prepared by Mark's cousin, a slick property lawyer I now recall meeting once. And tucked behind it? A partially filled out mortgage application against the property, also in her name. They weren't just planning to take it. They were planning to leverage it immediately. The surprise party isn't the event, it's the venue. The perfect, emotionally manipulative setting to get my signature on the dotted line, with my own sister ready to notarize or witness the damn thing. The cold fury I thought I'd mastered flickers hot in my chest. Okay, the game just got dirtier. So will I. The days leading up to my birthday pass in a blur of forced smiles and feigned ignorance. I am the perfect husband. Attentive, slightly distracted perhaps, but seemingly unaware. Emma and Chloe exchange glances, probably thinking I'm moping about getting older or stressed about work. Perfect. Let them think it. Inside, I'm a coiled spring, meticulously documenting everything. Every suspicious late-night call Emma takes in the other room. Every overly casual text from Mark. Every time Chloe steers the conversation towards the beach house or future financial security, just hypothetically, of course. I use a simple voice recording app on my phone, accidentally left running during their visits or Emma's hushed conversations. Cloud storage is a beautiful thing. Each piece of evidence slots into place, building a picture so clear, so damning, it's almost nauseating. But I play my part, oblivious, trusting. The dutiful husband walking calmly towards his own execution. While they focus on securing my legacy asset, I focus on dismantling ours. It's surprisingly easy. Online banking is efficient. Phone calls to advisors. My real advisors, the ones Emma knows nothing about. The ones who manage the family money she thinks doesn't exist, are discreet. The joint savings account we painstakingly built, liquidated. Transferred to a private account under a holding company she's never heard of. The small portfolio of stocks we held together, sold off, proceeds rerouted. Even the emergency credit card she thinks is safely tucked away has its limit slashed to almost nothing. I leave the joint checking account with just enough for monthly bills, enough to avoid immediate suspicion, but the cushion, the safety net she thought was hers, is gone, vanished into the digital ether. It's not about the money itself, not really. It's about pulling the rug out. It's the first step in showing her that the control she thinks she has is an illusion. There's a cold satisfaction in each transaction confirmation, A quiet click of the mouse, severing another tie. Wednesday night, we're at dinner with the Hendersons, an older couple from the neighborhood, blessedly unaware of the drama unfolding beneath the surface. Small talk, wine, pasta. Emma is radiant, playing the charming hostess even though we're guests. Mark isn't here tonight, thankfully. During a lull in the conversation, as David Henderson is lamenting some local zoning issue, I turn to the table, adopting a thoughtful expression. Speaking of property, I muse aloud, swirling the wine in my glass. It's funny how complex things can get. David, you know about this stuff. How exactly does asset protection work within a marriage, especially with inherited property? I was reading something the other day. I let the question hang in the air, innocent, curious. I don't look directly at Emma, but I feel her presence beside me stiffen. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her fork pause halfway to her mouth. Her smile becomes fixed, brittle. Mary Henderson launches into an anecdote about her sister's divorce, oblivious. But Emma? She's frozen. Just for a second. Then she forces a light laugh. God, honey, so morbid. Let's talk about something cheerful. But the seed is planted. The first tremor of unease. Friday morning, 2 days before my birthday. The fallout. I'm downstairs making coffee when I hear it. A sharp gasp from upstairs, followed by frantic tapping sounds, likely on her banking app. Then, footsteps pounding down the stairs. Emma appears in the kitchen doorway, robe askew, face pale, eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and dawning panic. Alex, she says, her voice tight, trying to remain calm but failing. The savings account, it's empty. Did you move the money? For that investment thing you mentioned? I look up from my coffee, feigning mild surprise. Empty? No, I haven't touched it. Must be a bank glitch. Their systems have been weird lately. I take a slow sip. Try calling them. Her eyes narrow. She knows I'm lying, but she can't prove it, not yet. She grabs her phone, stabbing at the screen. As she puts it to her ear, waiting for the automated bank menu, my phone buzzes on the counter. Caller ID. Chloe. I ignore it. Let it ring. Emma glances at my phone, then back at me, suspicion hardening in her eyes. There's barely anything in the checking either, she hisses, covering the mouthpiece of her phone. What did you do? I told you I didn't do anything, I say calmly, meeting her gaze. Maybe check the statements online? It'll show any transfers. I know it won't show anything useful to her. The transfers were layered, discreet. My phone rings again. Chloe again. Emma's phone call connects to a human. Yes, I need to report a problem with my account. She starts, her voice strained. While she's distracted, wrestling with the bank representative, trying to understand why thousands of dollars have simply vanished without a trace, why her emergency credit card is suddenly declined, my phone buzzes a third time. A text message from Chloe this time. Call me urgent. What's happening with the accounts? Emma's freaking out. I silence my phone, a small, cold smile playing on my lips. Let her freak out. Let them both freak out. The first crack just appeared. And it's beautiful. The atmosphere in the house shifts after the account incident. It's thick with unspoken tension. Emma watches me constantly, her eyes filled with suspicion she tries to veil behind forced sweetness. She and Mark are clearly rattled. Their timeline, I overhear during another one of her private calls, has been moved up. The emptied accounts make them nervous, perhaps thinking I suspect something financial, but not the real betrayal. They need that beach house signature, and they need it now. We'll do it at the party, I hear Emma whisper fiercely into her phone late one night. It's his birthday. He'll be relaxed. Maybe had a bit too much champagne. Chloe will be there. She can witness it. We'll say it's a simplification of assets for tax purposes. He won't question it then. Mark's muffled reassurances follow. They're doubling down, getting sloppy, desperate. They think the financial scare was just me tightening my belt, maybe because of work stress. They have no idea it was a warning shot. My role now? The beaten dog. I let my shoulders slump a little more. I sigh dramatically when looking at bills. I become quieter, more withdrawn. When Emma asks if I'm okay, I mumble something about work pressure, about feeling overwhelmed. I let her comfort me, playing the part of the husband, buckling under stress, making him easier to manipulate. It works beautifully. I see the relief in her eyes. I see the confident, predatory glint in Mark's gaze when he comes over, ostensibly to cheer me up, with talk of sports and stocks. They exchange subtle, satisfied glances over my head. He's cracking, those looks say. He'll be putty in our hands. Let them believe it. The more confident they are, the harder they fall. While playing the perfect patient, I make a call I should have made years ago. A call to Arthur Harrison, Emma's estranged father. He's a stern, old-money type, disapproved of me initially. Ironic, given the circumstances. But mostly disapproved of Emma's tendencies. We haven't spoken in years. Not since Emma manufactured a huge fight that drove a wedge between them. I meet him at a quiet, dark, wood-paneled club he belongs to. He listens intently, his face impassive, as I lay out the basics, the affair, the financial deception, the beach house scheme. I don't mention the resets. He'd think I was insane. But I provide enough proof copies of texts, a timeline of events, the draft quitclaim deed. He nods slowly when I finish, his eyes hard. I warned her, he says, his voice gravelly. Always chasing shortcuts, always blind to consequences. I suspected something like this with that Jensen fellow. He looks at me, a flicker of something like respect in his eyes. She told me you were the one pushing her away from me, controlling the finances. A bitter smile touches his lips. It seems she projected quite effectively. We agree to cooperate. He has resources, connections, and more importantly, he knows Emma's history, her patterns. He begins making discreet inquiries of his own, confirming Mark's less-than-stellar professional reputation, digging into the lawyer cousin. We become a silent two-man army against her scheme, sharing information via encrypted channels, planning the final checkmate. With Arthur adding pressure from his end, I escalate my evidence gathering. It feels grubby, invasive, but necessary. A new pen, a gift from Arthur, sits on the desk in the study, its microphone crystal clear. A USB drive accidentally left, plugged into the main computer, captures keystrokes and screen activity periodically. My old phone, supposedly wiped and ready for recycling, gets forgotten under the living room couch cushions, set to record audio on a loop, uploading snippets to a secure cloud account only I can access. I capture snippets of conversations between Emma and Chloe, Emma and Mark. Frantic planning, reassurances, dismissals of my withdrawn behavior as him just being moody. Each recording is another nail in their coffin. The risk is immense. If discovered, the whole plan collapses. But every whispered lie, every callous dismissal of my feelings, fuels my resolve. The final preemptive strike comes at Emma's parents' anniversary dinner. A strained affair Emma insisted we attend to keep up appearances. Arthur Harrison isn't expected. Emma's mother dislikes him, blames him for Emma's sensitivity. We are halfway through the appetizers, Emma relaxed and holding court, when the doorbell rings. Her mother frowns. A moment later, the host shows Arthur Harrison into the dining room. Silence falls. Emma freezes, champagne glass halfway to her lips. The color drains completely from her face, leaving her looking stark and suddenly vulnerable. Her mother gasps. Arthur nods coolly to the room, his eyes finding mine across the table. He gives a barely perceptible nod. I meet his gaze, allowing a small, knowing look to pass between us. It's subtle, almost invisible to anyone else. But Emma sees it. Oh, she definitely sees it. She sees the unexpected alliance. The carefully constructed walls of her deception suddenly feel less secure. Panic flickers in her eyes before she quickly masks it with a brittle smile, welcoming her father with forced warmth. But the damage is done. The second public fallout isn't loud, like the bank accounts. It's a quiet, chilling realization for her. The game board is bigger and more complex than she thought. My birthday morning arrives. Sun streams through the window. Unlike previous loops where this day dawned with dread or frantic last-minute planning, today feels calm, resolute. I shower slowly, letting the hot water cascade over me. I choose my suit carefully, not flashy, but expensive, perfectly tailored. A quiet statement of power Emma won't understand until later. Downstairs, Emma is a whirlwind of nervous energy, fluttering around me, adjusting my tie, offering coffee, her voice pitched slightly too high. "Everything is set for tonight," she says, avoiding my eyes. "Just a quiet dinner at La Trattoria like you wanted." Liar. It's the same place as the first time. She thinks controlling the venue gives her control of the outcome. "Sounds perfect, Em," I reply smoothly, kissing her forehead. Her skin feels cold. She believes I'm walking into her trap, oblivious, broken, ready to be managed. The drive to the restaurant is filled with her forced chatter, her hand occasionally resting on my thigh in a gesture that feels more like restraint than affection. I just nod and smile, a passenger on a journey whose destination only I truly know. We arrive. The hostess leads us to a private room in the back. And there they are. Surprise! The chorus feels flat, rehearsed. Chloe, Mark, a few other friends, whose loyalty I now know is paper thin. Balloons droop slightly. The cake looks overly sweet. I put on my best performance yet. Wide eyes. A hand to my chest. "Wow, guys, you shouldn't have." I hug Emma tightly, whispering "thank you" against her hair while feeling the tension in her shoulders. I shake Mark's hand, meeting his smug gaze with feigned gratitude. I accept Chloe's hug, her averted eyes telling me everything. We eat. We drink cheap Prosecco. They toast me, meaningless platitudes washing over me. I play along, laughing, telling anecdotes, the perfect birthday boy. Emma watches me, relief slowly replacing the anxiety in her expression. He's playing along. It's working. Then, just as dessert plates are cleared, Emma leans forward, placing a hand over mine. "Honey," she begins, her voice soft, earnest. "There's just one little bit of boring business we need to sort out. A formality, really. For our future." Mark slides a familiar-looking folder onto the table. Chloe produces a pen. The moment has arrived. I look down at the folder. Quitclaim deed, Gull Cove Beach House, right on cue. I look up, letting my smile fade slowly. I meet Emma's expectant gaze, then Mark's, then Chloe's. The cheerful mask drops. "No," I say, my voice quiet but carrying in the suddenly still room. Emma blinks. "No, honey, it's just paperwork for tax." "I know what it is, Emma," I interrupt, my tone hardening. "And I know why you're doing it, why all of you are doing it." I gesture vaguely around the table. Confusion flickers across their faces. Mark starts to bluster. "Now hang on, Alex!" "Did you really think," I continue, my voice dangerously soft now, "that I wouldn't know? Did you think I stumbled into this marriage, into this life, completely unprepared? Did you ever once wonder about my family, Emma? The family you never met? The one I kept separate for a reason?" Emma stares, speechless. The color is draining from her face again, faster this time. You thought I was just some mid-level accountant with a nice bit of inherited property, I say, leaning forward slightly. A convenient step up, maybe? Someone easily managed? I laugh. A short, humorless sound. My family doesn't deal in modest means, Emma. We deal in legacies, and we protect them. Vetting potential partners is standard procedure. You were a test, a long, disappointing test of character. Right on cue, the door to the private room opens. A man steps in. Sharp suit, impassive face. Mr. Thorne, my family's longtime private investigator and security consultant. He's holding several thick, bound dossiers. Mr. Thorne, I nod. Right on time. Thorne steps forward, placing the dossiers on the table, with quiet thuds that echo in the stunned silence. One in front of Emma, one in front of Mark, one in front of Chloe. The air crackles. The balance of power doesn't just shift, it shatters. The hunters have become the hunted. The smirks are gone, replaced by gaping mouths and wide, terrified eyes. The surprise party has taken a very, very sharp turn, and I am finally, completely in control. The room is utterly silent, save for the faint clink of ice in a forgotten water glass. The silence stretches, thick and suffocating. Then chaos erupts. But it's a chaos of whispers and frantic denials, not shouts. Chloe is the first to break, snatching up her dossier, her hands trembling. This is insane! Alex, I was just trying to help Emma. She was worried about your finances, about the future. I thought I was protecting you both. Her voice cracks on the last word. Thorne clears his throat quietly and flips open her dossier to a specific page transcripts. Dates and times of her calls with Emma, planning the cover-up. Her face goes sheet white. Mark puffs up, trying to regain composure. This is harassment. I barely know anything about their finances. Emma said you two discussed everything, that you were simplifying assets. She manipulated me. He gestures wildly towards Emma. Thorne places a single photograph on top of Mark's dossier. Him and Emma, clearly intimate, date stamped from a week ago, taken outside a hotel they thought was discreet. Mark stares at it, his bluster deflating like a popped balloon. Emma just sits there, staring at the cover of her own dossier, seemingly unable to open it. Tears well in her eyes. Alex, she whispers, her voice trembling. It's a misunderstanding, all of it. The house. Mark twisted things. Chloe got confused. Please, you have to believe me. It's a desperate, scattershot defense, grasping at straws. Thorne simply taps the dossier. Financial records, communication logs, corroborated timelines, Mrs. Davies. It's all quite clear. Suddenly, Emma's demeanor shifts. The denial cracks, replaced by raw, unfiltered desperation. The tears spill over, tracking mascara down her pale cheeks. She reaches across the table, her hand hovering over mine before pulling back as if burned. Okay, she chokes out, her voice thick with emotion. Okay, I messed up. Terribly. I was scared, Alex. Scared about money, about the future. Mark preyed on that fear, but it doesn't mean I don't love you. Her gaze lifts to mine, pleading, searching. We have years together, history. Remember Italy? Remember the night we got engaged? Don't let this mistake, destroy everything. Please, Alex. Give me another chance. Us another chance. I'll change. I swear I'll change. I'll go to counseling. I'll cut ties with Mark. I'll rebuild trust with Chloe. Whatever it takes. Don't do this. Her plea hangs in the air. It sounds genuine, raw, heartbreaking even. If this were the first time, maybe, just maybe, it would sway me. But it isn't the first time. I look at her, at the tears, at the desperate hope in her eyes, and I feel tired, resigned. The hot anger has cooled into something hard and immutable. I lean back in my chair, meeting her gaze squarely. My voice, when I speak, is calm, measured, devoid of the heat she expects, devoid of the pain she thinks she can leverage. "I've heard this before, Emma," I say quietly. The confusion on her face deepens. Maybe not these exact words in this exact restaurant surrounded by these specific props. I gesture vaguely at the cake, the dossiers. But I've heard the sentiment. I've felt the weight of your regret. Her brow furrows. What are you talking about? I've lived through this moment, I continue, the confession tasting like ash, but feeling like freedom. Or versions of it. Enough times to know how it plays out. Your remorse? It's real right now. I believe that. But I also know it's temporary. The fear fades, the desperation recedes, and the patterns re-emerge. The excuses start again. The little lies creep back in. The shortcuts reappear. I shake my head slowly. I know exactly where this road leads because I've walked it with you again, and again, and again. Each time hoping for a different outcome. Each time ending right back here. I take a breath. So, the answer is no. Not just about the house, I nod towards the folder she brought, but about us. About another chance. There are no more chances left. I look from her to Mark to Chloe, my gaze lingering on each betrayal. It's over. For all of us. The finality in my voice hangs in the air, heavier than any dossier. There are no resets left for them, only consequences 1 year later. The air is crisp, tasting of salt and freedom. I stand on the wide stone balcony of my family's actual coastal estate, a world away from the modest suburban life I pretended to live. The sun is just beginning to breach the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of orange and pink over the vast, rhythmic ocean. A steaming mug of rich, dark coffee warms my hands. No more instant granules brewed in tense silence. This is real. This peace. It cost more than I ever imagined, cycling through pain and betrayal again and again, but standing here now, it feels earned. Bought and paid for in emotional currency I never knew I possessed. The Gull Cove Beach House? Safe. Sold, actually, the proceeds reinvested wisely. Emma, Mark, Chloe, faded figures from a past life, dealing with the legal and social fallout orchestrated quietly by Thorne and Arthur Harrison. My phone buzzes softly on the small table beside me. Not a frantic call from a betrayer, but a simple good morning text from Sarah, a woman I met months ago through a shared passion for sailing. Our connection is built on quiet conversations, shared laughter, and absolute honesty. No games, no facades. Later today, I have lunch plans with my other sister, the one who lives overseas, the one who was horrified but unsurprised when I finally told her everything. Rebuilding trust, even with those untainted by the deceit, is a slow process, but it feels healthy, real. Arthur Harrison and I exchange polite emails occasionally, a shared understanding forged in the crucible of Emma's betrayal, but we maintain a respectful distance. Some ties are best left loosely knotted. I take another sip of coffee, watching the waves crash against the rocks below. The resets. They were a curse disguised as a gift, forcing me to relive the worst moments of my life, amplifying the pain until I thought it would break me. But they also gave me clarity. They stripped away the illusions, the hopeful denial, and showed me the truth of the people I loved. There are scars, yes. Echoes of the hurt still surface sometimes, late at night or in unexpected moments. But the overwhelming feeling now isn't bitterness or anger. It's just peace. A quiet, steady calm that comes from finally closing a painful chapter, from breaking the cycle, from choosing to step out of the loop and into the sunlight. The weight is gone. I'm finally moving forward.